to your Friday's edition of Bet. I'm your host, Anita Marks. We've got a lot coming your way in the next 30 minutes. Andre Snellings is going to join me. We're going to do a deep dive into the NBA. Great slate of games tonight and, of course, throughout the weekend. Ian Parker is going to join us with a little UFC 285 preview. Jones back in action after a 3-year hiatus. And I will have some XFL picks for you as we round out the show. Again, we welcome you in. Let's bring in Dre. Dre, how you doing tonight on this Friday afternoon, man? How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm in Boston for the Sloan Analytics Conference, so I'm surrounded by nerds. It's my kind of place.
That's right. I feel like everybody in our industry goes from the combine to Sloan. It's like back-to-back 2 weeks. So that should be a lot of fun. As always, on Friday, we like to kick the show off with the good word. Might be my favorite segment we do on Bet. Just might be. Jon Jones, like I said, he's back in action. 3-year hiatus. He hasn't had a bout in 37 months. To win in KO, you can get it plus 360. Dre, what's your good word?
Creed, as in a champion retiring and stepping away for 3 years, then coming back and knocking out a younger, stronger, bigger fighter. Sounds more like the plot of a Creed or a Rocky movie than something I necessarily want to bet on. I'm actually of the opinion that Jon Jones is the greatest fighter in MMA history. But, you know, as much as it seems like a great movie plot, I have to fade him just like stepping off the street and knocking out one of the best heavyweights in the world.
Yeah, my word is gone, as in those days are gone, right? Like, I'm with you. He's 35 years old. Again, he hasn't fought in 37 months, and he's going to need a takedown in order to win this match, in order to win this bout. And the change in weight, I wonder if it's going to wear on him in regard to being able to go the distance. So question number 2, the Bulls, plus 170 to participate in the play-in tournament in the NBA. What's your good word?
Pesky, as in there could be some value in that pick because of their pesky new backcourt of Patrick Beverley and Alex Caruso. Those two are both like annoyingly good defenders. Like opposing backcourts have to hate playing the Bulls now because they have to be, battling these guys for 30, 35 minutes a game. The Bulls had lost 6 games in a row, but ever since they brought Beverly and Caruso in together, they've won 3 of the last 4. And the analytics like them. According to our basketball power index, BPI, the Bulls have a higher score than 4 of the 5 teams that are directly in front of them in the standings.
Yeah, my good word here is bullish. I'm all in on this Bulls team, and you hit on it. I love the addition of Patrick Beverley for sure. His point guard play is solid. They add that 3-point threat that they have been needing, and also it opens things up for Zach and DeRozan. You're seeing them. DeRozan's averaging over 30 points, assists, and rebounds a game. And also, Dre, you look at their schedule, with all due respect, it's fairly soft. And they're only 1.5 games back to Washington and Toronto. So I am bullish on the Bulls making it into the postseason as a play-in team. Last but not least, let's talk about Giannis. 7-1 to win the MVP, my friend. What's your good word?
V8. As in, when I was a kid, there were these V8 commercials where the person would hit themselves in the head with something obvious like, I could have had a V8. Well, in my opinion, Giannis is the best player in the NBA. And now, since the Bucks haven't lost in like a month and a half, they have the best record in the NBA as well. And so, it seemed like Jokic had it locked up, but at 7-1 odds, it could be worth it to think that the voters might say, hey, we could just take the best player on the best team and make him the MVP. So V8 is my word.
I remember the V8 commercials, Dre, when they were like the people were walking sideways and they're like, don't you need a V8? And they drink the V8 and then finally they would like start walking erect. Those were the commercials I remember. But my good word is travesty. I think it would be a travesty of justice if Jokic would not win the MVP this season. I mean, come on, he's the most deserving. He's every given night, it's like a 40-point triple-double that he's putting up for the Nuggets. On top of that, they're the #1 team in the West. They're more than likely going to get the #1 seed. They're going to have home court advantage throughout the postseason. I mean, what is wrong with this world if Jokic does not win the MVP? Travesty, I say, travesty. All right, each and every week we have you on, Dre. We like to talk about the columns that you submit to ESPN.com because they're actually quite good. I highly recommend our viewers out there log on to ESPN.com, go to the NBA site, watch all that Dre is spewing for us. And let's talk about this Bucks team for a second, right? You know, the #1 spot in the Eastern Conference this week, but they're still 3rd overall to win the NBA title, and they're not even favored to win the East. Why do you think that is?
I think it's a combo of early impressions and like splash. So early in the season and really up until recently, the Celtics were overwhelmingly considered the best team in the league. They had the best record, and it seemed like they were a notch ahead of everyone else. Whereas the Bucks have had injuries all season. You know, Chris Middleton is still just working himself back into shape. Giannis has missed some games. Drew Holiday's missed a bunch of games. They've had a lot of guys out. But even with that, now they've come back and they have the best record in the entire NBA, not just the Eastern Conference. And that's where the splash comes in. Because even when the Bucks won the championship, they weren't really thought of as like the sexy pick. Whereas the Phoenix Suns just made the huge splash deal of the season, trading for Kevin Durant. And so there's a group of people that's really still high on Boston. There's another group of people that thinks that the Suns are going to come up and they're going to win the championship. And everyone's forgotten about the Bucks, even though they seem to have forgotten how to lose.
NBA free agency was absolutely wild, right? And a lot of moving parts, a lot of excitement. And now we're a few games in and we're seeing what that residual factor is showing us. Unfortunately for the Clippers, no bueno for Russell Westbrook and the Clippers. They're 0-4 now with him on the court. That obviously is not good. Also, when you look at the Dallas Mavericks and the addition of Kyrie, they had to give up a lot of defensive players. So the Mavs are sitting at 2-5 now with the addition of Kyrie. So why do you feel that both these teams are struggling, even though a lot of people, well, I actually did like the Russell Westbrook addition. Obviously, maybe I was wrong there, but why do you feel both these teams are struggling, Dre?
Yeah, so, the Westbrook pick I thought was it was a lottery type move. It could be great, it could be bad. Kyrie, I don't know if I was as high on as everybody else, but what it comes down to is that they're point guards. Kyrie Irving and Russell Westbrook are point guards, and the point guard is the position in the NBA that has the most influence on what happens on the court on offense. And so I make the analogy, it'd be like if these two teams, like in NFL, if they traded for a brand new starting quarterback in week 11 or week 12. It's going to take some time, just for them to get used to playing with a new quarterback. So I don't think it's time to panic just yet. We saw a positive sign from the Mavericks last night with Kyrie and Luka combining for 82 points in that big win over the 76ers. The Clippers still haven't had their big game yet, but they're a couple games behind. They've only had 4 with Westbrook versus the Mavs having 6. I'm not ready to panic just yet, but we're getting late in the season, so both teams better figure it out quickly if they want to be able to contend this season.
All right, Dre, we got to talk about the elephant in the room, and we got to talk about your Lakers. Because last week you were all over this Lakers team. You love this Lakers, and so did I now. So did I. I love the addition. I love what they did at the trade deadline. But let's be honest, LeBron stirs the drink. And now he's out for 3 weeks, tendon injury on his foot. Who knows? Possibly he's going to be out the rest of the season. So with that being said, what's the ceiling for you now? What are your expectations for this Lakers team without LeBron James on the court?
It's hilarious that they're now my Lakers. But even when I was making those picks, and you're right, I have been high on the Lakers' chances this season. I always had the caveat, if LeBron and AD both stay healthy. That was always a big if. LeBron, because of the age and because he was going so hard, like 37 minutes a game, as he was trying to get that scoring record, and AD just because of his history. If LeBron is out for an extended period of time, then the Lakers obviously don't have any chance at all, if they had one before, to come back and win the Pacific Division. They still have a chance to make it into the play-in because they're only like a half game out of that 10th spot. And ironically, they've traded for a team now that's well-rounded enough that if they would have had a better start to the season, they might be able to coast until LeBron could come back. Now they'll have to actually play strongly and make up some ground without LeBron. Again, they might make the play-in, but if LeBron doesn't come back healthy in like a month, then, play-in, maybe first round is the best they can hope for.
Yeah, listen, I like what they did, the trade deadline so much, Dre. I put money down that they would finish in the top 6. And they would circumvent, they would move past the play-in. Like, I had them in the top 6, but obviously I don't. If anything, I think the best chance for them, the ceiling for them, is to finish as a play-in team. And then, like you said, if LeBron, if this tendon injury isn't as severe, isn't as serious, and they get him back at that point, then who knows? Who knows what they can do? But I'm with you. I think their ceiling is the play-in without LeBron. All right, let's continue to talk some NBA. We've got a great slate of games tonight. Let's feed the people. Hopefully, some winners. Let's start with the Sun. You like my new shirt? This just arrived. This just arrived today, right? I've got KD and Devin Booker. So I'm feeling like a purple people eater right now. Let's talk about the Suns. The Suns are favored by 3.5. The over/under is 222.5. What's your play in this matchup?
My play is the Bulls plus the points, but I'm feeling a lot more uneasy now. When it opened, it was Suns -6. So Bulls +6, I was feeling pretty good about. We talked about their pesky new defense and how that can make life hard on Chris Paul and the Suns. At 3.5, it's a little closer, but our BPI analytics still actually picked the Bulls to win outright for tonight. So I will still take them plus the 3.5, but I'm going to be a little more hesitant when I do it.
So I've got 2 plays here. I'm actually going to play the under, and I'm also going to play, and I know this contradicts the under, but I'm also going to play KD over 21.5 points. Here's why I like the under. The Bulls, their defense actually has been quite good. The under has hit for them in 9 of their last 11 games. 5 straight home games. Their defense is holding opponents to 112 points per game. As for the Suns, the under has hit for them 5 of their last 7. Their defense is holding opponents to 111 points per game. The reason I do like KD over is because I think this number is very low, considering we still don't know what type of minute count, right, KD is going to be on. But this will be his second game. His first game, he played 27 minutes. He put up 23 points. I got burned there because I took the under. So obviously I'm going opposite direction here. But if you really watched and saw how the Suns played him, they subbed him middle of the first and third quarter, and then they played him longer in the second and fourth quarter. Therefore, he spent more time going up against bench players, which I really liked. And also, they facilitated him as the main scoring option in that Suns game. So that's why I do like the over of 21 points. Also, when KD was with Nets, he went up against the Bulls twice. He put up 32 points and 44 points. Clippers going up against the Kings tonight. I love watching this Kings team play. And oh, by the way, they are favored. And this is a hefty number, Dre. 8.5. The over-under is 240. How are you playing this one?
Yeah, this is another one. I'm going with the Kings, but that number is getting pretty high. So it I'm a little sketchy about it. But the Kings have been playing great under the radar all season. They're in first in the Pacific. They've been in first in the Pacific, and they're playing strong of late. They've won like 4 games in a row, whereas the Clippers have lost 4 in a row. And we just talked about they're still trying to find their way with Russell Westbrook. So with the Kings at home in form, I like them to win. And I guess I'll call it a blowout. I like them -8.5.
Ooh, a blowout. Wow. Dropping the mic. Exit stage left, Greg. I'm with you, though. I do like the Kings. I'll lay the points. They're 4-1 against the spread. Their last 5 games, they've won 4 straight. Fox, hopefully, back tonight. Time will tell. Of course, it's left coast. We'll find out as we get closer to game time. I have been winning the Pacific, by the way. You can get that, I want to say, right now, like plus 105, something like that. It's still plus money. But you mentioned Russell Westbrook and how he's been struggling with this Clippers team. Get this. With Russell Westbrook on the court, the Clippers are averaging 120 points per 100 possession, and they're allowing 127 points. Without him on the court, they're averaging 123 points in scoring, and they're allowing only 114 points. So at some point in time, I think the Clippers have got to say, whoa, we like having Russ on the roster, but it's not helping us win games. I just don't know if that decision, if that hook is going to be made tonight. So I'm with you. I do like the Kings. Let's go with the Grizzlies and the Nuggets. The Nuggets, they're favored by 5. The over-under is 233.5. Curious, what's your play here?
I'll take the Grizz and the points. The Grizzlies were fighting for the top seed in the Western Conference for most of the season. Then they had a lull at the end of January and the start of February where they fell back and the Nuggets came back to put a little gap between them first and second in the conference. But the Grizzlies are back in form now. They just beat this Nuggets team by 18 points last week. So, if you're taking 2 teams that in my mind are about equivalent and you're going to give me 5 points to work with, I'll take that. Yes, please. So Grizzlies +5.
I'm on the opposite side here. I like the Nuggets, and I'm going to lay the points. Why? Best home record in the NBA. And, oh, by the way, a 67% cover rate. They've covered 6 of their last 7. And they did lose to the Grizz the last time they faced them, but they did not have Aaron Gordon on the court. Keep that in mind. As for the Grizz, they're 1-4 against the spread on their last 5 road games. No Adams tonight, so I think it's going to open up things for Jokic, which, by the way, that's another play. I love him getting that triple-double, and I want to say it's somewhere around -105, -106 right now. At home, 18 of his last 19 home games. That's right, he's put up a triple-double. 9 straight. That's right, he's put up his triple-double. And all this talk that he might not get the MVP, I think it's full force, like all hands on deck. It's time to ball out to make sure he wins the MVP this season. Last but not least, the T-Wolves in LA, Tinseltown, baby, going up against the Lakers. As we know, no LeBron. We talked about it earlier on the show. T-Wolves favored by 1. The over-under here is 227.5. What say you?
Yeah, so I'm going to take the Timberwolves. I'll lay the 1. I mean, that's essentially a pick 'em. The LeBron injury is killer. The Lakers still have enough talent that they can be competitive. And the Timberwolves, people kind of forget, they're still without their best player. They've been without Karl Anthony Towns for most of the season. But they've had that time to get used to playing without Towns. Now, they're mercurial, and they kind of go as Anthony Edwards goes. If he's playing well, they can beat anybody. If he's playing bad, they can lose to anybody. And it can change within a half, so it's mercurial. But on the whole, they should be the better team, and they should be in a better place right now. So I will take the Timberwolves to win the pick'em against the Lakers without both LeBron and D'Angelo Russell, who's still out.
Yeah, I'm staying away from this game. I don't have a true conviction in regard to who's going to win this, especially since LeBron is out. And Gobert has really had his way with AD every time they match up. And in fact, he's averaging 13 rebounds a game, over 12 points a game. So I'm going over 11.5 rebounds for Gobert tonight. Again, no LeBron. Therefore, I think a lot is going to be forced onto AD to be the scorer, which I think is going to take away from his defensive aggressiveness. And so I think Gobert, I think he has a really solid night tonight for the T-Wolves. So I'm going over 11.5 rebounds. Dre, hang tight for a second. We're going to come back to you. We're going to talk some UFC. I want to bring in Ian Parker. Let's talk some UFC 285. So Ian, welcome into Bet. Great to have you. As we know, this is a packed card, a really exciting weekend for UFC fighting. The former champion Cody Garbrandt is on the prelims. How about that, right? That's just how good this card is. He's minus 170 favorite against Jon Jones. How would you play this matchup?
Well, Anita, I can't believe I'm even going to say this, but I'm going to take Cody Garbrandt here, despite that chin looking like it's been made out of glass since he's won the belt. He is fighting someone here that he should beat. Number one, Jon Jones taking this fight on short notice. And two, Jones doesn't throw a ton of volume. So if Cody got to stay composed, I like what he's done in Extreme Couture. I'm sure they'll have a good game plan here. So if you're going to take this fight, I think Cody gets it done. This is his opportunity to bounce back. Really nice stylistic matchup for him.
All right, let's talk about new up-and-comer, right? Bo Nickel, he's a three-time national champion wrestler. Huge favorite against Pickett tonight, minus 1,600. So if you're going to have to be creative, obviously, to win some money here. So how would you play this bout?
Well, Bo Nickel will tell you to bet him at minus 1,600, but that's why you got us experts to kind of narrow that down for people that want to bet. I'm going to go Bo Nickel by sub here. His last two fights in the UFC, both wins by sub. He's a wrestler. He's not going to take a chance of giving Jimmy Pickett a puncher's chance to win. He's going to take him down, probably take the back and get a rare naked choke. I believe it started off at minus 120. Now it's up to minus 150. Give me Bo Nickel at or by submission in this one.
All right, the co-main event. Let's talk about the ladies. Valentina Shevchenko at making her 8th title against Alexa Grasso. Even though Valentina is a huge favorite, Alexa is undefeated, right? Since moving into the 125-pound arena, right? So where is their value in this match, Ian?
Well, I think you got a couple of opportunities here. Number one, Valentina, 5 of her last 6, you could just call them wins because that's what she's done, have gone past the 3rd round, even into the championship round. So for me, over 2.5 rounds makes a lot of sense. Alexa Grasso's only loss where she was finished was by Tatiana Suarez back in 2018. And if you've seen Tatiana Suarez, especially last week, she's an absolute beast. So I like over 2.5 here. I think Valentina coming off that win over Talia Santos, it was razor thin. I think also her by decision. Grasso is very tough to put away. Very good striker, good off her back. But Valentina is so dominant, just so good for a reason. So those are going to be my 2 plays in the co-main event instead of betting her at minus, what is she, 700 at this point? It's crazy.
Now, I've probably buried the lead here, Avi, right? And that's Jones. Jon Jones back in action. He hasn't fought in, 37 months. This line opened up, and he was minus 115 as a favorite. Right now, it sits at minus 180. So I'm curious, how surprised are you that Jones is, A, back as a favorite, and how concerned are you that he's going to be fighting now in a much different weight class?
Sure, you know what? I'm not surprised. You know, there's a reason why he is the best fighter of all time. There may be a few asterisks. He had some issues outside the cage, but I think he's really honed it in. He's always been a big light heavyweight. Walked around probably 230, almost 240. He's had 3 years, but it's not like he hasn't been training. He's been training with Henry Cejudo, with Captain Eric out there. This is a guy who's just always been a student of the sport, wants to be the best martial artist, and I believe he is that. The weight he's put on is necessary to compete with these big bad boys, and for him, I think he truly will keep his speed, his explosiveness, and the separation here, the difference, has got to be the grappling game, the wrestling, where Jon was so dominant early in his career. So for me, I'm not surprised, and I don't think the 3-year layoff is going to be a problem at all for him.
So personally, hold my hand, take me to the window, let me follow your lead. How are you wagering on this bout?
Look, a lot of people are going to sit here and they're going to go with Cyril Gane. They think he may be that perfect matchup because he fights conservative, he's not overly aggressive, elite striker. However, you saw against Francis Ngannou, he was out-grappled, he was controlled. I think Jon is just a special type of athlete. So even at this number, until I am proven wrong or Jon Jones loses, which he really never has, I'm going to go with Jon Jones here. I think he comes out. I think those first 2 rounds, he kind of measures, he downloads his information, and at some point he turns into a wrestling match where he'll get the win. And I think you're going to hear Jon Jones and new at the end of the night.
Ian, thank you so much for spending some time with us here on Bet. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
All right, let's bring Dre back in. Dre, you heard the conversation with Ian Parker. So let's talk about this bout, right? Jones, Gane, how are you playing it?
You know, Ian kind of, put some thoughts in my head. My heart would like to say Jones. I would like to see the movie plot play out. But my head just says younger, stronger, faster, and plus money. And we're talking about a guy in Gane who's been dominating the heavyweight division. Yes, he lost in Nagano, but outside of that, everybody loses to him. He's been dominating the division since 2019, when Jones was largely out of fighting. I mean, yes, he's been training, I'm sure, and he's the man, but his power didn't really seem to translate. His last 3 fights went the distance, including, his heavyweight debut. And I'm probably not going to bet on this one, to be honest. But if I were going to bet on it, I would have to go with Gane, because he just, at plus money, especially if the fighter I think is likely to win is also getting the plus money, it's hard to stay away from that.
Yeah, I'm with you, lockstep, my friend. I'm going with Gane as well. You can get him on the money line at plus 145. Right? So Jones, he's 35 years old. Like I said, he hasn't really been in the octagon in 37 months. So he's got that layoff, right? He's got a change in weight. It affects you athletically. Not sure if he's going to be able to go the distance, his speed, his cardio. And there's not a huge, the one thing about Jones that has really been a big part of his success is the size differential, especially in the reach. There's not a really big size differential here when it comes to Gane. Gane, he's a great athlete. He's got great footwork. He's got great speed. He's a great striker. He's a kickboxer. And we heard Ian say it, right? In order for Jones to win, he's going to have to take Gane down. I think that's going to be a tall task to ask. Also, Gane, majority of his wins have been stoppages and decisions, clear victories. So I'm with you, and I think the value here is in Gane to win on the money line, just straight up at plus 145. Dre, thank you so much for hanging out with me on this Friday here on Bet. Really do appreciate it. Good luck with all your NBA plays.
Yes, thanks for having me, and there's a big sports weekend.
Absolutely. We'll see you next week. As always, we like to end with before I let you go, and I'm all in on the XFL. Yeah, maybe I'm jonesing because NFL is gone, but I've gone 7-1 the first 2 weeks of the XFL, so I'm going to try to keep up with what I've been doing. Let's start with the Seattle Sea Dragons. I've got them at minus 3.5 against the Vipers. I also like the under here. Weather conditions in Las Vegas, rain, wind, up to 30 miles an hour. So that's why I'm playing the under. But the Seattle team, they've been really competitive. They've lost both their games in the final seconds. Jim Haslett's their head coach. I think they're better than what their record indicates. The Battlehawks, give me the points against DC. They've got the best quarterback, in my opinion, in the league, in A.J. McCarron. 2 comeback wins. Is he the XFL Tom Brady? I think he wins the MVP this season. So give me the Battlehawks. I also like the Renegades. This is my best bet of the weekend. I'll lay the points against Orlando. The Guardians, they are the absolute worst team in the XFL. There's turmoil with the players, the coach, Terrell Buckley. I think he's going to submit his resignation anytime soon. So my best bet, the Renegades with Bob Stoops and that team. I'll lay the points. And last but not least, I'll lay the points with the Roughnecks as well. They're the best team in the XFL. They're going to be in San Antonio. By the way, Hines Ward is the head coach of the San Antonio Brahmas. But here's what's really interesting about the Roughnecks. They're 2-0 this season, this year in the XFL, but they're 7-0 overall in the XFL. The XFL had to shut down back in 2020 because of COVID. Wade Phillips looking to go undefeated and extend that record as well. He's got an amazing defense, no surprise there. 12 sacks, 5 interceptions, and arguably the second best quarterback in the XFL in Brandon Silvers. So the Roughnecks, I'll lay the points as well. That about does it for us. We've got you locked and loaded for the weekend, right? XFL, UFC, a lot of NBA. Also, don't forget, we got Daily Wager coming your way tonight, 6 o'clock on ESPN2. So I'll see you there, and I'll see you then. Have a great weekend, everybody.